Well, we're back in the attic again.
Yes, we are.
Isn't that a song? Back in the attic. Oh, perhaps not. Back in the attic again. Screwing around with the garbage that's the highly collectible things.
Yes.
That are in this particular attic. We'll be cracking into a couple of other attics as we go along.
Oh my gosh, everywhere.
This one's mostly the toys and plastic models up in here, but there's stuff. There's stuff around
everywhere.
in different places. We've been collecting so much stuff.
Right.
And we're still messing around with large-scale Monogram 8-scale models.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been through some of the early 60s releases. Toward the end of the big releases, they did the big tub and then the big deuce.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, they dropped the big name. And when they came out with their next model, it was no longer designated as big anything.
Right.
It was just a Jaguar.
Uh-huh.
Jaguar XK-E.
Wow.
This is not a 60s release. This is a 70s release.
Look at this.
Of that.
That's so
but
cool.
there it is.
Oh.
Is that cool?
That is awesome.
It's almost 2 feet long.
Wow.
But unlike the other ones, there was really nothing to customize here. You just built the model.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like you're going to pull the engine out of this or the engine out of a T and stick a 327 Chevy engine in this or something. So I think some of the kids found it a little less appealing because you just build it. Also, I think some of the kids were starting to say, gee, I built that.
Right.
And it takes up so much space on the shelf.
It does, are huge.
I've got 5 of them now and my bedroom's full.
Yes.
And I don't have room. So the market had really started to sort of peter off by the time they came up with this. This was not the same kind of seller that the other ones had been.
Right.
Interestingly, there is a kit out there that you can pick up on eBay if you have one of these, because it's been released and released and released. So it's all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
And subsequent releases. And you can turn this into a convertible.
Oh.
And that's really neat. And there's also some racing decals in American racing colors, blue and white.
Neat.
I'd almost like to see some in British racing greens. But nevertheless, a few things that have been added to the market over the years that you can find. There's a metal upgrade engine kit, a much more detailed engine kit that sells for around $100 if you can find one.
Wow.
And so it's some neat things that you can do with this. Or you can just build it straight up. And I'm actually sort of thinking of building this one straight up. Because
there's contests out there.
I love the E-Type.
Yes, they're fun.
Almost bought one in about 1970.
Oh.
63 one came up. And $1,200 in British racing green with gold stripes. And I just had a little trouble putting the money together. And
it was hard
people kept telling me, yeah, those things are junk. You don't want one. $1,200.
$1,200.
It's probably worth $120,000, $150,000 today.
Yes.
So live and learn.
Exactly.
I should have been as much a collector then as I am now. I'd have bought it for sure, and maybe it'd be down there in the garage somewhere.
You never know.
Never know about those things. So instead, I bought a Shelby Mustang. So it's not all bad. It's not all bad. But at any rate, here it is. Interestingly, Lindbergh, who'd been duplicating a lot of the releases, they never tried doing anything other than their T. They just kept doing variations on their 8-scale T.
Right.
But Bandai in Japan decided to copy this whole car. It's slightly different, and people have told me
look at this.
that it's actually a different model gear.
Really?
That the other one is like a 64, and one's a 65, or one's a 63 and a 64.
Oh my.
They look the same to me.
Yes.
Other than the fact that this is a better kit.
Wow.
It's a better put together kit. It was a more expensive kit if you could get one, and the key is you couldn't get one.
Right.
You could buy them in Japan.
Yes.
For, I believe the price was 6 million yen, something, I don't know what it was. But you couldn't get them in the United States, and Monogram wanted to make sure you would never get them in the United States because they felt like they'd been ripped off.
I see.
I don't know how it all pairs out and how that all comes into being, but these were banned from coming into the United States. And some dealer, some wholesaler that wanted to get these into the hobby shops tried to smuggle 1,200 of them into the United States. Out of Canada, where the border was a lot more porous, and they loaded those onto a truck, and they were seized at the border anyway. This is one of those 1,200.
Oh, serious?
Serious. And this sat in a customs warehouse for something like 30 years. And all this tape and writing is
wow.
from the customs people. You know, I would not do that to a
No.
kit and any collector, but in a weird sort of way, to see it all taped up this
Yes,
way
it
with
makes it more
writing on it,
valuable.
it's part of its history.
Yes.
And these will crop up on the internet now and then. There are 1,200 of them around.
Somewhere
I've
out
never
there.
seen one built
No.
because, you know,
Yes.
but they do pop up from time to time, the Bandai XK-E. And we know exactly how many of them there are. There are 1,200 of them. And they
We're
probably
very
all
common.
still exist because they were preserved in a warehouse.
Yes.
And so there it is.
There. Oh, that's neat.
So that's really neat. And no, nobody did any customizing parts for these. But I'll bet the customizing parts for the Monogram version could be modified
They
enough
could.
to fit this. Since they're basically the same car in
Right.
the same scale, there's probably a certain amount of interchangeability between
Right.
them. Even though this is a much heavier, bigger kit,
Yes.
the actual built car should look very, very, very similar. Well, if you haven't been over to the channel, do pop on over to the channel. And while you're over on the channel, you want to subscribe.
Yeah.
You also want to binge watch, because there's 250 roughly of the regular show and
Something
some
like
other
that.
collector's addicts. There's a lot of stuff.
Yes.
There's soup to nuts. And anyway, there's a lot of stuff. I forget the number because I can't keep track. And then it
Yes.
changes all the time.
It does.
Of course. Anyway, the way to get over there, you ready for it?
Here it comes.
Zoink! The blue button right there that says subscribe,
Yes.
that will take you to the channel. It will make you a subscriber. It will make you cool.
Yes.
It will make you the envy of your friends. It will cause your breath to smell better and your hair to look better, and you will have very cool clothes. All by clicking. Zoink! Let's do that again. Zoink! It makes you cool. Let's see, where were we? And that makes you a subscriber. It makes you cool. It may not be there because it might not be supported on your device. All that stuff. At any rate, we're not sure how you found this movie on the internet. We hope you didn't find it boring. And we will see you here again in a few days on
Yes,
Sunday
Sunday.
with the regular show.
Yes.
We'll see you then.
Bye.